Hey, what's up guys, Dopestarter930 here, and you are looking at quite possibly the most rugged Xbox case I have yet to see on a slim console. I've just recently picked up this console for the purposes of making these video tutorials for you guys, and so briefly, let me just tell you guys how it's going to work. I'm going to be doing 3 parts. The first part is going to be installing the RGH on a slim console, and this will be used to get the CPU key off of the current dashboard. Part 2 will be reset glitch hacking and installing the Cool Runner CR3 Pro into this console, and the last part, which will be part 3, will be installing the daemon in the console, which will give us the dual NAND capabilities. So the way it's going to work is these are going to be very long videos. They're going to be tutorials. I'm not sure how I'll chop them down, but the 3 parts are going to be fairly long. And so I will have that for you guys in case you guys want to see like step by step what I'm doing, in case you get stumped and have no choice but to watch the long videos. And for those of you that kind of know what you're doing and don't really need to see every detail, just need kind of blueprints on how to do this, I'm going to make a video that'll be just one part where I combine all 3, and I'll cut out things like, you know, watching the NAND dump or things like that, things of that nature. So these videos are going to be really long, and then I'll make a shorter one for you guys that kind of know what you're doing. So for starters, guys, what we're going to be doing in this video is installing, again, like I said, the RGH. The purpose of this is because with the consoles, I don't know what the exact dash is, but on the current consoles, you cannot just plug in your Cool Runner in the slim consoles and reset glitch hack them. You have to use the RGH in order to get the CPU key, and then you remove this, and you will be able to reset glitch hack it like you normally would. Now, this is only going to be for slim consoles. It'll work for Trinities as well as Corona motherboards, but there might be a little bit of differences. This is going to be a Trinity motherboard I'm installing it on, just so you guys know from the get-go. So anyways, first thing I'm going to do, guys, is completely strip down the Xbox and pull out the motherboard. So let's get started. Now, before we do anything with the RGH at all, you're going to want to get a clean dump of your NAND. Actually, a couple clean dumps of your NAND that are matching. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to be using a Nand-x, which is Team Executor's NAND reading device. So you don't have to use this. There's tons of other options out there. You can use just, they have non-name brand NAND readers. I believe Matrix has one. There's a ton of different ones. But I'm actually going to be putting the diagram up of the matching colors that coordinate with the spots on the motherboard you solder the wires to. So if you do have a different NAND reader, which is not the Nand-x, then the diagram won't be as useful for you if you don't have the colors. So you might have to look up with that company's NAND reader which wire goes to which on the Slim's motherboard if you don't know already. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is get a little bit of my flux, probably a lot of my flux actually, because this swab is so covered in flux, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on the points I'm going to be soldering the Nand-x to, so I'll just go ahead and brush some of that on there. Alright, and the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to tin those points, and by tinning the points it'll make it where it'll be a lot easier and stronger of a connection when I solder the wires on. So let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys here. Kind of an excess amount of flux on those points, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just for the purposes of this tutorial to make things a little easier, because you see it's kind of blurry, I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean up or smear it in a little bit so it's not so glossy. But it won't actually do anything. Like if I would have left it all like that, it would have been fine. So let's see if I can maybe move the lighting a little bit for you guys. There we go. Now you can see what we're dealing with here. Alright, so again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to be tinning my iron, and I'm going to put dabs of solder on all the points I'm going to be soldering wires to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Just like that. So as you guys can probably see, I've got little blobs of solder on those 4 points now. Alright, so we got all 5 of those points. And we got 2 more points on pads right next to those guys. So let's get those. And again, guys, this isn't, 100% necessary. You could do this, a little bit too much solder. You could do this without actually pre-tinning the pads, but it just, unless you just don't care, it makes the job a lot easier later on. It makes cleaner NAND reads and stuff like that. Because I noticed that before, when I first started doing installs and stuff like that, I would get a lot of bad blocks. And now it's quite rare, unless just I get a motherboard that happens to have some kind of issues on it, that I get bad blocks. Usually I can get a clean read just about every time. Alright, so that's all we really have to do for the pads. You can pretty much go ahead and do the same thing for your Nand-x wires if you want to, just by putting a little dab of solder on each one. It's not 100% necessary. Mine already has a little bit of solder on each one because I've used my Nand-x quite a few times before, so I don't really have to do that. But in case you want to, go ahead. But I'm going to go ahead and actually start installing these wires on one by one. Go ahead and do the black wire first. Then we will do the brown wire right next to the black wire. Alright, that's that. Then we'll do the red wire next. You just go at it like this angle. You just don't want the wire to be touching any other points next to it, or you either won't get a read or you'll get bad blocks. So just make sure you do your best to avoid touching any other points. That red one's not really smart the way I did that. I'm going to go ahead and move it at a different angle so it's out of the way. There we go, that's fine. And then every maybe 2 points, depending on how long it takes in between them, I'll actually clean my my tip off so that the solder is fresh and I don't get any dripping or anything like that. Alright, we got the last one, which is going to be the yellow one. Get a little more solder on that one. Alright, I'm going to do the last one, which is going to be the blue and the green one. Just like on the fat just like on the fat motherboards, the blue and green are separate. So blue should just about do it. With the NAND points, as long as you have a decent amount of solder on the wires and you're not touching any other points, then typically you're going to be able to get a clean read on them. So let me go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. There you go. You can see all the wires are in. So now we're going to go ahead and You have to plug in the power cable on the Xbox 360, but don't turn on the Xbox 360. Just have the power cable plugged into the back of it, and go ahead and connect your Nand-x to your PC, and we're going to continue from there. Alright guys, so the program I'm going to be using to do just about everything as far as I can think right now, is going to be JRunner. Right now I'm using version 0.2 beta, parentheses 287, which it just updated, so that should be the latest version. But anyways, what we're going to do guys now is we're going to go ahead and go over to the read NAND button. You want to make sure that number of reads, you can have it at 2, that's fine I guess, but for me I'm going to go ahead and do 4 just to make sure that my NAND is the same every single time, that there's not any bad blocks or anything like that. And then all you're going to do is go ahead and click read NAND. It'll see, as you can see, it's checking my information. It says a Trinity motherboard, and it is reading the NAND. So I'm going to go ahead and let it run through 4 times. It'll take, I'd say maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 minute range roughly. So once it's done, I will go ahead and continue from there. Alright guys, now that we have those dumps of our NAND, we can go ahead and actually write the ECC for the DGX, even though the DGX is not installed yet, just because we're here right now in JRunner. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to click write ECC for DGX. It says ready to write DGX ECC to your NAND. Go ahead and click yes. And as you can see, it is writing the Trinity underscore DGX .ecc, which will be very quick, as you can see the progress bar, and it is done. It took 9 seconds. So next we're going to go ahead and install our DGX and get our CPU key. So we'll jump back to the camera and I'll show you guys what I do to get. Alright guys, so now before I even touch the motherboard again, I'm going to actually get the DGX, and I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the pads right here, and I'm going to apply solder to each one of those points, just so that I kind of tin them. So let's go ahead and do that real quick here. And again, not a lot is needed. I guess I'm being lazy. I don't feel like going and digging through my house for any more Q-tips because I ran out in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this big blob of flux and kind of rub it on the points. Usually with these pads, it's not even really that necessary to use this flux because the solder just flows onto it so well, but why not? Go ahead and turn my iron on. I always think in my mind it's better to use flux than to not use flux. It won't really hurt anything. So go ahead and tin my iron, and this will just be very quick and painless. A little bit more. Now in a couple of these I did put a little bit of excess solder, but it really won't matter. Like that one, that was a lot of solder, but that's fine. And again guys, what you're going to notice here is that if you really want to do a clean, like if you're doing this for services, a lot of people will get rubbing alcohol and clean off the actual pads. It looks a lot more professional, and I am definitely recommend doing that. But because this is just a tutorial for you guys, and that's not, a required step, I don't know that I'll be be doing that, because for my personal consoles I don't necessarily always do that, but for right now that I thought of it, I'll just grab a little bit of rubbing alcohol, I suppose. We'll just kind of brush through these points to get rid of all the excess flux that we don't need on here. Kind of make it look a little cleaner. There, so that's just the solder balls. So I guess since we're dealing with the chip right now, I'll go ahead and solder the wires to the chip so we have that out of the way. And the wires look like they are pre-tinned, so you will not need to tin the wires. But I mean, again, feel free to add a little solder to them if that's what you want to do. It's not going to hurt anything. Alright, so we'll start off with the ground wire. Let me look at, so I'm doing it correctly with the picture. So yeah, ground's going to be this one right here. And then this is actually, believe it or not, my first time ever using a DGX, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how many times I'll actually use it. I just really got it because I needed it for this Xbox, I guess, but also for just to do a tutorial for you guys, so you guys can see it. Next is going to be the 5 volts. And we're going to go and install the post out, which is the yellow cable. Go ahead and tin my iron a little. Then the CPU reset, which is the long blue one. Now I've been reading, and a couple people have been saying that the DGX works better if you switch up certain wires. I don't know off the top of my head, but when we get to that point, if I can't get it working, then I will do the research and find out for you guys. I'm hoping that I will get this done without any major problems or anything like that. Let's see if I have that green cable. Now they actually do include a long yellow cable, which I'm assuming would go for the post out. Now, based on this diagram I'm seeing right here, this is a little bit confusing. It's showing that below the CPU reset should be a green wire, but I don't actually have a green wire in my DGX kit, so I'm going to go ahead and install the orange wire, because that's the odd wire that's not showing on here. So we're going to put the orange wire here, then the brown, which matches up right here. Alright, and we got all of our wires in. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab the motherboard, and we will tin all the points on the motherboard and get them ready to solder the DGX to. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and install the DGX to our Xbox 360 motherboard. If you want to, the DGX should have came with a sticky pad where you can actually stick the DGX down on the motherboard to prevent it from sliding around and stuff like that. I might do that, but right now I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and tin all the different points that we're going to be soldering wires to from the DGX. So let me go ahead and turn my iron back on. Alright. So let me look. I have to look at this diagram because I haven't done this before. Go ahead and do that. Alright. So I ended up putting the sticky on the bottom of the DGX just to keep it from moving around. I think it's probably easier. Not that it's not possible to do it without having it stuck on, but it's just kind of irritating when it's bouncing around. You're trying to install the wires. It's probably easier to pull something out, actually. So I probably would recommend just sticking it down with the pad it comes with. Then I'm going to go ahead and just solder the black wire to the AV port, the top of it. Just put a little dab of flux right here. It's same as with if you were to install the cool runner, you typically would ground it on the AV port as well. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Same old. There we go. Got a nice connection to the ground point. So we've got 2 more wires to do on the underside for the spots that we previously tinned just a moment ago. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll feed the wires through the hole right here, and then I will and then I'll turn the motherboard around for you guys, and we'll check there. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and solder the last 2 wires into place. The yellow wire, which is going to be right here. Let's see if I can do that. It'd be easier if I had tweezers. And I do actually have tweezers. I accidentally bent them so they don't grasp. It works so well anymore, so I gotta pick up a new pair of tweezers. But and then with the blue wire, I based off the diagram, I'm installing it correctly, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to coil the wire just like you would when you RGH the Slim. But I'm gonna try it without coiling it. By coiling it, if you know what that means, I just mean like you get the blue wire and scrunch it together and tape it to the board. I'm gonna try it without doing that. Just because, again, the DGX is just a temporary thing to get your CPU key. So let me go ahead and put the blue wire in, which is going to be on the right side of CR. So we'll go ahead, it's right here. It's kind of hard working around the camera. I'm trying the best I can. It's kind of a long wire. It might be easier to come up from the top, actually. Let's try it like this. Alright, so that guy's in. Let me make sure that I didn't accidentally cut some solder bridging the 2 points that's next to it. I can't really see from this angle. Nope, that looks fine to me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the CPU fan back on. I don't think you actually have to take the whole CPU fan off like I did. I think that you can actually get to this point right here, the blue one, by just lifting up one of the legs on the fan, but to me it wasn't really any harder to just take them off, so I have a more clear view of what I'm working with. And we're going to go ahead and plug in the power cord. Now, there's a couple options. I've seen, I've never actually done this method, so I'm not really sure how to do it. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit, but you should have gotten another cable. Of course, mine seems to be missing. Where is it? You should have gotten another cable with your actual DGX, which is the COM cable, which allows you to pull up, as far as I know, it lets you pull up the CPU key directly with JR Programmer, JR Runner. But I'm going to do the good old-fashioned method of just taking a picture of the screen when your Zell pops up. So yeah, if I do end up, I know I'll figure it out if I want. If you guys want me to, I can actually figure out that method, and I'll make another video. I'll put like an annotation where you can see that method. So let me go ahead and plug this cable in here. And see if it pops up. Alright guys, so I want to apologize because I am using my phone to record this part because it was kind of complicated using the webcam with my Blue Yeti like I was using for the rest of the video. But I was able to boot into Zell and get my CPU key. As you can see right now, I'm in Zell. I'm just not showing the CPU key part of it. So anyways, I was getting a little bit frustrated because my CPU key was not showing up, so I ended up tweaking a couple little things. With the Trinities, according to from what I've been reading, they're a lot more, or not a lot more, but they're trickier to get to glitch with the DGX than the Corona motherboards are. The Coronas, it seems like typically you just install the wires and the CPU key will come right up without any sort of messing around with wires and lengths and stuff like that. But anyways, I'll show you guys what ended up working for me. So not that this will necessarily work for you or not, but this is what worked for my Trinity to get the CPU key. I'll also place a link in the description that will show you guys a couple other things you can try if you're not able to get it to glitch at all. And again, it could take some time. It says Executor recommends that you wait up to 10 minutes sometimes. When I finally got it to glitch right now, it took about, I'd say, 2 minutes or so. But I've been waiting in about 5-minute segments so that I don't keep resetting it when it's potentially going to be working down the line. So anyways, this is what I ended up doing, guys. Let me kind of drop this down and hopefully you can see. Let me actually unplug this because I took a picture of the CPU key. Unplug you just so I can show you guys what I did. So what I ended up using was okay, so I used the capacitor or the cap that came with the DGX. As you can see right here, part of it's connected to the ground pin, the other one's connected to the D pin. For the C wire, I ended up using the really long, thicker wire. As you can see right here, I didn't do anything with it. I just left it kind of dangling and loose like that. That worked fine for me. And for the D wire, which was really long when you get it, it's a really long wire. I cut it down so that there's very minimal slack. I mean, there's still slack, but compared to before, there was tons of extra wire that it was just dangling around. So that's what worked for me, guys. And that's really it. If you have the Corona, then you might not have to do all that tweaking. Again, I can't speak from experience with the Coronas because this is the only one I've done. This is a Trinity, and again, it did take a little bit of tweaking, about kind of 30 minutes or so of me just messing around and waiting 5 minutes after each thing before I was able to get it to work, which isn't really that bad, considering that this is my first time doing the DGX install. So. Anyways, guys, so this is going to be how you get the CPU key from any slim console after the dash where it requires you to use a DGX. And this is part 1 of my series of 3 video tutorials, which is going to be showing you how to get the CPU key, which we've done now. The next video will show you how to reset glitch hack the console. And the third will be to dual NAND it. So if you just want to learn how to reset glitch hack your current console with the DGX, then you can just stop at part 2. And if you want to dual NAND it with the Demon like I'm doing, then you can go to part 3. So anyways, guys, hope you liked, and we'll have part 2 ready for you guys soon. Thanks for watching.